Hello there, it's day 9 of my entry to the Great Guitar Build-Off 2020. Now then, this is really getting to the exciting part of the project. I've got a few more coats of the oil to put on, but I've also got the electrics to look at. I've got the machine heads to do, load of stuff. I think I'd just better get on with it. The first thing I'm going to do is paint the inside of these cavities with some shielding paint. I'm using this guitar shielding paint, which I've got, I think, from eBay. I've never used this before, so going to be interesting. I am going to put some tape on to stop it going through the other side. I will be careful though. Right. Let's see how this stuff goes on. Okay, so that's done. I'll put that in the cupboard to dry it off. Now I've got an interesting little problem here in that the nut is going to go at the end of the fretboard, obviously, and my intention was to cut the binding away because I thought the nut would stretch to each side of the neck, but in actual fact I've actually made my neck wider this time, which is unusual for me, but the nut would sit nicely between the two pieces of binding, but the sort of joint between the headstock and the binding there isn't particularly that neat. So what I think I'm going to have to do is just shape that headstock in a little bit on both sides, which is rather unfortunate given I've done some oiling, but never mind. I think it's going to look much better if I do that. That's my next job. I'm going to use this little tool that I've made. It's just a piece of wood shaped with a slot in it that you can then stick the sandpaper in and just curl it round. And I'm just going to just gently shape this if I can. Okay, I've re-oiled the back of the neck and I've put that back in the cupboard now, so that shaping's done. Move on to the body. Now the body's had about 4 coats of oil, and including a coat which I put on with some 600 grit wet and dry to rub it in after a suggestion from one of the guys commenting below. So I'm now going to rub it down with some of this micro mesh. I've gone down to 2400 at the moment. I'm just going to give it a bit of a rub down just to sort of bring up a bit of a sheen. Okay guys, here's my tip of the day. If you want to shield your guitar, my advice is to use copper tape, because I've used this shielding paint and it's pretty horrible, to be perfectly honest with you. It's black everywhere. So actually I'm going to put some copper tape on this now. That's assuming, of course, it will stick. Okay, so I'm going for a half and half approach here. I've managed to wipe off some of the carbon so I can get some adhesion with this tape, but some of it I've left with the paint. I can see it's got its uses where you've got, you know, sort of strange nooks and crannies to get into, but I think the copper tape is probably easier to use in the long run. Okay, so now I need to drill a hole through here to put the jack socket in. I also need to make a plate for the jack socket. I'm going to use some of this galvanized steel that I've bought from a DIY store. I've used this a few times now. Polishes up quite nicely and it's very sturdy, so I'm going to get on with that now. Before I do that, I've got to fit these controls so I can see where the jack plug's going to fit, somewhere underneath there. So I've got these controls, and in order to fit those controls I need to drill out the holes. So that's those two done. I just need to tidy that up a bit, and that hole there I think needs to be a 6mm. Yeah, that's a 6mm. So what have we got there? I think that should do it. Okay, we can get these in place now. It's handy. It just comes through so I can just see the thread, which is brilliant. Just going to put it on loosely for the time being. Really is a tight fit in this compartment at the back here, as you can see. Hopefully you can see. So it's important I get everything facing in the right direction, which will go through there. There. Okay. Now then, so now you can see it's really going to be quite tight where this is going to go, and it usually slots in somewhere around there. So if I get a pencil, the centre of the hole is going to have to be there. This is one of those bits that I do dread in the whole build process, but hey, let's have a go at drilling it out. Okay, so this is the problem I always have with these things, and which is why I have to take the hole bigger, and I'd forgotten about it, which I shouldn't have done. But basically this has got to go into the wood, otherwise I just can't get anything through to tie that on. So yeah, I'm going to have to go much bigger than I am at the moment. It's all going to be covered with a plate anyway. Right, I've switched to an old yellow towel because I was getting so much fluff come off that other rug thing. Now, phew, that wasn't easy, I have to be honest with you. It's left the wood very thin there, but my guitars do tend to be very thin there because they're not very thick bodies. But the plate, I'm hoping, will hold the whole lot in place. So now I just need to measure up the plate, and I'm going to do that 20mm wide. Okay, so here's one I've made for another guitar, and as you can see, what I've just done is I've cut the full width out of this, which is 35. So I'm actually going to do the same again. So I'm going to cut it 20mm deep, but I'll leave it at 35 width, and if I need to cut it shorter I will. So I'll mark out 20 mil. I'm going to allow a bit extra, so let's do it 22 mil. So I'm going to put a mark there, just draw a line across there, or score a line, cut that off. Okay, so now I'm going to cut a template out of this cardboard so that I can get the position of the centre hole as accurate as possible. That's my template. I've got the jack in position. I've got my template. I'm just going to push it on to the jack with my thumb till I get an indentation. Going to drill that hole out in this cardboard and double check it. So using the cardboard template with the hole cut out of it, I've got the position that I want the hole, which is okay. I'm now going to give it a thump with this stamp and drill a 10 mil hole in there. Okay, the hole's slightly off centre, but then so is the jack plug, but that's going to go okay. I'm just going to do a couple of holes now just to enable me to put some screws in there. Now I've got to bend this plate to the shape of the body, and this is an offcut of the body, obviously taken from the point at which the plate has to go. This is another piece, but it's not actually, it doesn't actually match that, but it's near enough to push it in. So I'm hoping that if I put it in the vise here, I can get it to shape it. Do we have? Oh, that looks like it is shaped. Wow. There we go. There we go. Now it's spent. Now, I'll be honest with you, as always, what I should do with this is do this before I cut the hole, because you always get a bend where the hole is, because the metal's weaker, obviously. But once it's in the guitar and once the jack plug's in there, I think it looks fine. So I'm going to use that. Now I'll mark the position of the holes with this awl. Drill those holes, just screw it in temporarily while I mark where I need to chisel out. Now I've got the plate fitted, and what I need to do now is mark it out with a knife and then chisel it out. But I'm going to do that tomorrow. I've managed to get black marks all over the face of the guitar, which means I've got to clean it all up. Never mix metalwork and woodwork. It always ends up with a load of marks. Anyway, so I'm going to do that tomorrow when I'm fresh and bright. So see you then. Now then, I'll be honest, things didn't go exactly to plan yesterday, and there was something bothering me. So last night I made a decision, and that is that I'm going to change the finish on this guitar. I'm just not entirely happy with the oil finish, and now that I've got oily marks on it from doing this plate yesterday, it's sort of emphasised that point. This is the 9th guitar that I've built from scratch, and let's be honest, it's got to be the best. So I'm going to spray this with an epoxy gloss finish that I've got recently, because I think a nice high gloss looks really nice. The last travel guitar I built, the orange sunburst finish one, has really got a nice feel to it. So that's what I'm going to do. But before I do that, it'll involve sanding this right the way back. Before I do that, I'm going to fit the bridge, fit the pickups in the places that they need to go, so that I've cut all the slots, all the holes, etc. that I need before I sand it down and then spray it. So I'm going to get on with that today. I'm going to tackle the position of the bridge, so I'm just going to bolt the neck on. That will do. There we go. For this I need a straight edge. In one of the previous videos I talked about the nut to bridge length, and it's a Strat scale length which is 648, but the length to the nut varies from 648 to 653. So I'm going to mark 650 as being the sort of average point for the bridge. As a guide, I'm just going to draw a line across there. Which gives me the position of where the strings should sit. I'm also going to mark 653 here on the base string, and 648 on the top E. Draw a line through those. Okay, gives me a guide now to the amount of adjustment that I need. So that needs to come back, and that needs to go there. So it looks like these are adjusted as pretty far forward as they can go, so that looks like that's about right. Oh, I hate this part. Okay, so I've put the nut in place there, so that's the base string, goes to there. This is the top E string. So that. Right, I've marked the position of the bridge. It took me so long to do that the battery of the camera ran out, so it was a fiddle. Anyway, the problem I've got is that I'm slightly off centre. The pickups are mounted 1mm higher than they should be, so I'm going to have to look at my template for that. But anyway, I've adjusted the bridge accordingly, so I've marked the holes. I'm now going to drill the holes for that. Just get the size needed for the drill. Looks like I'm going to go with a 3mm drill. Okay, get that in the pillar drill. I'm also going to have to fit one of these piezo pickups under the bridge, and for that I'll need another hole. And what I'm going to do is I'll follow the line that I've drawn, which is going to be underneath where the strings catch on this bridge. So that's going to go approximately there. So what I need to make sure is that it's all underneath the bridge. I don't want it showing. That looks okay. So I'm just going to make a mark just about there. Okay, so I'm going to have to drill a hole there and then make a channel going along there, and that hole will have to come through into the main body of the guitar so I can feed the wire through. So this was a bit of fun, but first of all I'm going to do a 3mm hole down there and then attempt to join up with it from within the body. I'm also going to drill a hole for the earthing wire as well. Okay, I've got to drill from inside the body down there and find this hole for the earthing wire. I've put some masking tape on there. Now I've made myself a little sort of square, so if I line that up with a hole and line it up with the tape there, where that comes through, if I just mark the tape, that should be where I need to start drilling, and then I need to follow that line down, and hopefully I've got this fairly vertical, so I just need to go straight down till I hit that hole. Now I'm going to put a piece of wire in it which will hopefully start wobbling as soon as I've hit it. I'm using a 5mm drill, which is slightly bigger than the hole that I'm going to try and hit. Just trying to work out whether the angle of that drill going in now is going to come up before, I think it is, I'm going to have to go back a bit. It's going to come up before the hole, isn't it? Ooh, I hate this bit. Okay. Go, Dave. Oh, we're going in. Oh, did you see it wobble? Yes. Okay, I've got the two wires now fed through, which indicate where I need to go for the earthing wire and the piezo pickup. And what I've just done, I've just folded the wire over and poked it down inside the hole so I can sand on top of that without too much bother, and then I can just hook those out and then use them to pull the other wires through as and when I get to that point. So that's done. I've drilled the holes for the bridge, so the next job to do now is to chisel out for this plate. I'm going to mark out where I need to chisel out a recess. For those of you who are keen-eyed on continuity, no, we're not gone back in time, I've just bashed my finger again. Anyway, here we go. Working very close to the edge of the guitar here, and it's quite thin there, so I've got to be really careful. Once the plate's on, it will give it strength. This is going to be an interesting piece of chiseling. Also thinking the chisel should be sharper. I think I'm going to sharpen the chisel. Now that I've got that in place, it doesn't look too bad. I had a bit of chip out there, which I'll need a bit of dust and glue to fill in there, but otherwise I think that's seated quite nicely. That's that job done. I think the final thing I'm going to do in this video is cut the holes for the machine heads. I've marked them all out on this template and I'm pretty happy with the positioning, so all I need to do is drill a pilot hole through. So I'm going to stick this onto there with some masking tape, drill the holes through, and then I can drill them out on the pillar drill. Okay. Now I'm going to use a 10mm brad point bit to drill the hole out. when you've got a small headstock like this, there isn't a lot of room for these machine heads. But I think, having measured this out quite a few times, that it's about right. Let's have a look. Yeah, they'll just fit in there, and I'll need some artistic license to position those. But anyway, so that's got those in. Excellent. Okay, I think I'm going to end this video here with this sort of moderate success getting that in. It's been a bit of a mixed bag, this video. Got some things done that were a bit fiddly, and made a decision to effectively sand this all back and spray it with gloss lacquer. So that's what I'm going to be doing over the next few days, and I won't bore you with me sanding again. So hopefully when I come back to you, I shall be in a position to spray this thing, and we'll see how it looks. Anyway, thank you once again for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Cheers.